covered Dongqi, Hami, Wusu, around 1,000 square meters. So this is the region, like around 200 kilometers under our administration. There are abundant wild animals and plants. So it's also our obligations and duties to take good care of all the wild animals and plants. For the area of forests, we have the first grade national level animals, like a snow leopard, and we through the topic of taking good care or take the conservation of snow leopard, we would like to call people's attention or increase their awareness of protecting wild animals. Before the law in this regard public, so that's back to 2016 August, we work with NGOs, especially the friends from the Wild Xinjiang. We had a nationwide snow leopard forum and the first Tianshan snow leopard workshop. Through all these kinds of activities, we would like to strengthen our efforts in calling people's attention in this regard, and also increase people's attention in protecting snow leopard, and also get more support from NGOs. This is the background. Director Sun. So within the area was right now the current situation of snow leopard. And we talk about the global picture. We believe we have a lot snow leopard in our region. Yes, in the recent years, we work closely with NGOs, especially Wild Xinjiang. We conduct initial research about the rear areas at the east region of Tianshan Mountains. Urumqi is the closest city to snow leopard. This is under the context of a global picture, so the nearest is around 50 kilometers. Last year, we observed around 36 snow leopard. So we talk about the distance, we cover the number of snow leopard we found. That's a very encouraging result. Yaya, which year have your organization engaged in snow leopard investigation? We are more the outdoor organization. We really like the activities. So our leaders from the Wild Xinjiang, the Professor Ma Ming from the Chinese Academy of Science, initiated this organization, and we want to pay more our energy to know and do more to protect the snow leopard. So back to 2004, that's the April 2004, we captured the first picture of a snow leopard, and we sent the pictures back to Beijing. That's also NGO that's taking care of the cat species, and we're so excited because we confirmed that the picture we got was snow leopard. So we say if you donate a camera, we will initiate our journey to the mountain to find out more snow leopards. So back to 2011, we already observed 11 snow leopards with 30 cameras. So we also are privileged to join the first forum regarding snow leopard. So we'll also have the opportunity to share the information and the pictures we got with the participants. We also got a lot of scientific knowledge from the other NGOs and from the habit to right now we feel it's not just like basic setup the cameras. Actually, there are a lot of knowledge, a lot of fun stories, but still a lot of worries behind the pictures. So how many cameras have you set up right now in Xinjiang region? More than 100 cameras. So we put the camera there, so they will trigger the data and send back to you to give you a better understanding or the closer shot of the region. We are working towards to get a full picture of Xinjiang region. To the best of my knowledge, I believe recently you organized a campaign that's do the research in the field, right? How many volunteers involved? I really love to share the story with you because the people really love the outdoor sports. We're finding like people from the world, same world as us. So we initiated a campaign and to send out the invitations to say, let's come on and make the concerted effort to protect the snow leopard. And we got 2 volunteers. The first time I saw their resume, I was so surprised because through this campaign, I really draw people's attention and also embrace the people from different sectors. So it's 7 days and 3 volunteers. And we are very glad to have our 2 volunteers here to share with you their experience. And he is Mu Ye. He is a big man. He can just fly up to the sky and also dive deep in the water. Dear all, my name is Mu Ye, and the guy next to me is a very famous director of documentary and also author. This is his book. And he's also really like to do a lot of travels, and he's also a daddy. When the first time I saw their resume, I was so impressed. It seems like you really love the animals and share with us or your stories, like watching animals around the world. After I heard the introduction by a director, soon there's a lot of the animals. These impax. Actually, impax is here habited in Xinjiang and also found in Alpine in Europe. Last year, I paid a visit there and I saw a group of impax. We climbed the Alpine for the whole day and we saw them at the broken terrain. I would like to take a picture and we passed by. They didn't really pay attention to us. They didn't care about us. So when we back to we finished our journey, we found like they also take their dinner and I took a very close picture of them. So I really take a closer shot and take a selfie. I believe the impax is not really scary. I also would like to share with you the picture about the penguin. We travel around the world to the North and South Pole. like all of the animals, the migration in different areas are very famous. And my baby is just 5 years old. I paid a visit to South Pole. I really love penguin. Because before there, when we talk about penguin, there's always the image from the TV, from the books is a different feeling and touch. It's like with the old white everything there in the South Pole. You can really touch them, can feel them. So my kids really love it. We saw so many penguins. At the very beginning, we saw the penguin maybe really scared of human beings. We need to keep the distance at least 5 meters. We cannot just very closely and say hi and high five. So we should keep the distance. But we found like penguins coming to us, and they surround us. The baby penguins is really friendly and look to us. And my baby is like, what are you doing? And a very limp one penguin is also shake the head with my kids to the same direction. They're doing the same move. So they give me the feeling that I believe actually we come so close between human and animals. That also create this harmonious picture. From my baby, I believe that he learned a lot through the whole journey, and he said we should do more to protect the wild animals. He also drew a picture, drew a penguin, and say wild animals are our friends. And he held the pictures and took a photo, and we brought that also in my documentary. I believe this is really great and priceless. And here you go. This is the picture we took. So my son named Simba, and you can see that he draw the picture and saying that wild animals are our close friend. I feel the same. I also Twitter a lot. So a lot of friends ask me that you are not scared or not afraid. Why you can so close with them? Actually, animals, they are very simple. They not really want to attack you. Under two circumstances: when they think you are their prey. So, and you run from them, they will think you are prey. Maybe they not really can identify who you are, but they will say, I don't care who you are or what you are. I just take a bat first to test whether if you are my prey or not.
When we were investigating the snow leopard, so for itself, it looks very aggressive, and people are scared of it. But actually, during our survey, the snow leopard is a timid, a gentle animal. They're also afraid of the human beings. We have to protect it. I mentioned 2 points. Sometimes animals will think like people are their prey. That's why they hunt after people. Or they will think that people will attack them, and then they will be afraid. So on one hand, the animal will run away, or they will attack you. These are the two instinct reactions from the animal. Yes, it is quite an instinct of the animal. But actually people would think, I want to run away first. Actually, it's quite simplistic for the animals. Sometimes even a rabbit, if you attack it, it will bite you back. At one time, I saw shark in the ocean. I like diving a lot. I saw a shark one time. It is a very big one. So it is as big as a small boat. I took a picture for the whale. And it is very close to the whale, but actually it will not take a human as their prey. They ate aquatic plants in the ocean. Even though it looks very big, but they will not eat human beings. My friend once said that maybe the animal is very gentle and it is possible that you can approach the animal. In Mexico, I also do a video about the billhead shark. It is a very aggressive species. They like large size of animals and fishes. And we also see some instance that this kind of shark will hurt people. But if you're not afraid of this kind of shark, and you approach them in a friendly manner, and the shark will be curious about the people, it will approach to you gradually, just like a process to know each other. Maybe when he saw me, he think, well, maybe this prey is not delicious, and then it will flow away. When we are on the field, we always observe the wild animal. And we also see different kinds of the wild animal. For example, the mammoth. When the spring is coming, the mammoth will raise their head and to see what's happening out there. And I just really like the gesture of the mammoth. So you're actually imitating the expression of the mammoth. It's very cute when they are going up of their cave and they will look around. For most of the time, we can actually live in a harmonious way with the wild animal. But of course, we have to know their habits first. For our group, we should not only know about the wild animals, but we also have to get to understand the conditions of the alpine zones. So, can you tell us what is the first wild animal you have ever seen? Well, I would say the first time I seen the ibex. Actually, ibex is an important prey for the snow leopard. It is at the end part of the ecological chain, the food chain. And later we also saw the mammoth. And we see all of these wild animals are very free in our zones. I feel very happy about it. For snow leopard, we call it a flagship species. Because of the very good and sound condition in the Tian Shan mountain, that's why snow leopard inhabits in this area. They feel safe, and that's why they live in this area. Actually, I feel very happy if I can identify some of the wildlife in the alpine zone. I saw one question from the netizen. So the question is about when they are going on the field, what are some of the tactics they can be used to observe the wildlife? Well, during recruitment, some people will say that I love nature, I want to protect the animal. I suggest before you go on the field, you should do some homework first. For example, to get more like knowledge about how to protect yourself in outdoor, and have a basic knowledge about the wildlife. And you need to find the correct way to observe these wild animals. So you can learn this by books or internet. So before we set out for a observation, you should do your homework first. And later you can gain more after you're on the field. Another question from the netizen. So the question is that how to protect ourselves while we are protecting the wild animal. And I know that all of you have seen different types of wild animals. Some of them may be carnivorous animals. Well, first we have to keep a safe distance with this wild animal. There must be a safe distance. Just as you said, there were different conditions of the wild animal zone. I used to go to one place in Ecuador. This is a unique place. In that area, we can see a large amount of wild animals. From our perspective, some of them are quite friendly to human being. They're very close to the human being. And sometimes you can see they also take up some places for a human being. And we'll also see some elephants walking around the street. So the key to protect ourselves is to have a safe distance with them. And for snow leopard, they look very aggressive, so maybe you need to keep a longer distance with this snow leopard. And first of all, do not step into those dangerous zones. For some of the areas, you can see very few people are living and working there, so you have to keep a safe distance with them. If you really like wild animal, actually you can start from some small animals. For example, to observe some wild birds. In order to keep yourself safe, first do your homework to get more knowledge about this wildlife. And do not step into those risky zones, because sometimes you cannot expect what to happen next. I want to add one more comment. During my experience with the wild animal, actually very few wild animals will kill people. So sometimes both human and the wild animal should have a comfort zone. You should feel comfortable as well as the wild animal. Sometimes when people are living in the city and we will take antibiotics, this sometimes is very dangerous. You don't want to pass these germs to the animals and vice versa. Sometimes when you are approaching very close to the animal, there may be an exchange of the germs. I also want to mention something, just as Yaya just said. We want to get familiar with the wild animal, but at the beginning we should be familiar with some legislation. For example, the wildlife law. And all of the protection zones, they have their own rules. So for some zones, they're fully protected, and we should not step into those zones to avoid the potential risks. This is just a warm reminder. In the past, I also saw some interviews of Yaya. So when we are on the field, we are not afraid of this wild animal. But when we are living in the city, we are feeling that actually people are the enemy for the wild animal. So we have this campaign for snow leopard conservation for 7 days. I actually want to know your feelings about this conservation of the snow leopard. So for this trip, what are you feeling? Maybe I start first. I've been to Xinjiang for over 20 times. I have many experience here. First of all, Xinjiang is a beautiful place. We can see the desert, the snow mountains, and the lakes. And of course, there's so many delicious food in Xinjiang, barbecues, grape seeds, etc. Okay, I will stop here. And the reason why we are here today is that we want to protect the snow leopard. When I was young, I watched the documentary Zoo. I think at that time, I see a lot of images about the snow leopard. I still remember that. And the first group of snow leopard was found in Tibetan and also in the central area of China. So this kind of animals are very looks aggressive, but they're very indifferent. At that time, I have this basic concept of the snow leopard. In the last year, I saw another documentary called "We Are Born in China." It is also a documentary about snow leopard, and I remember that one of the mother leopard, in order to take care of her cubs, went out for hunting on her own. It's a very touching story. And we also saw this NGO set up to protect the snow leopard and recruit volunteers for snow leopard conservation. When I saw this advertisement, I have made my decision to join this group. So by doing it, I can get more close relation with the snow leopard, because I know this is a very mysterious animal. It is my dream to get to know more about the snow leopard. And we know that the snow leopard are facing some challenges right now, for example, the global warming. And we also see a reduction of the habitats for the snow leopard. As an outdoor fan, I see a lot of wild animals. I also want to use my own efforts to make contributions in conserving the snow leopard. That's why I filed my application to this Wild Xinjiang group, because I'm an author, I'm a director of documentary. I want to join this group. That's why they're saying that actually I'm quite senior among the other volunteers in the group. That's why I filed my application to this group.
I really showcase everything I can do in my resume. For the NGOs, it do not need like people from the same sectors, and need people from different sectors, from different walks of life. I think I'm quite strong in taking photos, taking the live pictures. I can take and make a documentary and share on the internet to let more people know about it. I'm also a writer, so I can also tweet a lot online through our Vita account. And finally, I got a very good news, and they say I'm in. I'm so excited. And the guy next to me is so skillful. He can do skydiving. The expert, specialist in the climbing mountains. And he also is a good standing committee actor. And he's really good in the physical physical disease, but I'm always, my job is like a writer. I always like sit at home, so it's like he also find a lot of new things earlier than me. So that's the annoying part. And I says, don't do easy stuff. Leave all this to me. And with the Director Sun's efforts, there is no illegal hunting happened here in Xinjiang area. And after we came here in Xinjiang, now we know exactly the ways, the scientific way, how to protect the wild animal, how to observe and watching them. We worked for 7 days, and we placed the cameras within the zone. We set up the cameras. For that, I leave to you. This is my 10th visit to Xinjiang. Before, just like eat, drink, have fun here, and this time I come here for something meaningful. And before we talk about snow leopard, it's like, believe it's a very animal that far from us, always at the top of the snow mountains. I'm very skillful, but I'm still saying like I cannot really get even closer to them. So back to the university, I also joined some campaigns to protect wild animals. Other NGOs or the big governmental agencies, they also more or less did the same thing. Back to March, I saw Yaya's invitation. I saw, okay, this is right for me. Something there, someone is looking for me. I sent my resume, and I saw there are many. I'm not the guy with the luck. I never win the lottery, and I saw there are so many people for the limited seats. I believe there are more than 100 people. So actually, the first resume I saw is Lao Ji. I'm so happy. I saw like it's a surprise and good news for me. And I think more important is when we send the invitation, we had a requirement. Say you need to describe yourself in 150 words. A lot of people like did not really write a lot of things like to showcase their feelings deep in their heart. But when I saw Lao Ji's application, I actually really can feel the enthusiasm and aspiration of Lao Ji. He's really eager to do something. And let's get back to the topic that I would like to ask Director Sun. So from Xinjiang to the snow leopard in Xinjiang area, the more and more leopard we can find here, right? Yes, I believe the number will be increased. And also we have more and more NGOs involved in this guard, and also the people from mass market, they also increase their awareness. So I believe more and more people give their contribution to protect wild animals, and we can do a better job in the wild animal and plant conservation. Share with us more about your stories for the 7 days journey. Actually, our schedule was really tight. We studied a lot of the full whole day studies and trainings. And we signed a whole bunch of documents. And we also signed we need to make everything confidential. We also signed the confidential documents. We have different roles and responsibilities. The two key jobs for us is, number one, we should first take back the infrared cameras. and we also paid a visit to the local residents. We divided into 2 groups, and they paid a visit and had an interview with the herdsman. And for us, we are in the forest and had the GPS to find the cameras that they placed before. So netizen from Xinjiang said, through battery seems can last for quite a long time, right? Actually, this is not we just took for 7 days, and we took for years, and we added them into one film or one documentary. And we also brought 5 to 10 batteries with us every time when we pay the field visit. Another question. As the clean experiment, we have to clean the waste from the airbags and also from the deers. It's like the chocolate. So talking about the experiment from snow leopard. Actually, my experience, like last time I placed the cameras at the top of the snow mountains, and so that I had a very, very fresh excrement. You can never like have the same feeling with us. It's like every time when we found the excrement, we're so happy in a very nice shape. I know it sounds weird. And we sent to Laoji to say, we process the excrement. So we dehydrated and we sent to Laoji. I hope you have pictures to share with us. And when the first time I opened the parcel, I say so surprised and shocked. I just a black one, and I can't really tell. I thought maybe it's a stick. So and put it in a glass. It's in a vertical shape. So I show to my son, say, Daddy, what's that? It's a toy? No, not chocolate. Of course, no. And we right now put at my son's desk is special gift. And I believe the Laoji's Vita account has the picture. Yesterday, I also found the excrement. There's a very fresh one yesterday when I up in the mountain. So what's that for? It's meaningful to do the research. It's an exam for you. Give me the answer. Actually, why we study the excrement of snow leopards, so we can from analyze it, we can know their habit. We can know like what kind of food they ate. They ate the insects, or they ate the livestock, or they ate marmot. So we can tell from their excrement to say, okay, because we find the fur from ibex, so that show us that they because right now this is short of prey. This is the season normally happened. And last year actually we did a round of making prey for snow leopard, and we got a very good result. So basically from the excrement of snow leopard, we can tell whether they're in a very healthy condition. I will look at their appetite. Actually, a lot of things we can notice from that. And more importantly, we can identify the DNA. Hope we can have a picture to share with you. We made two process. We measure the size, look at the shape, look at where we found it, to check the whole environment or surrounding it. And we also work with Peking University, so the Xinjiang, Xinjiang, we can tell that the excrement is from which snow leopard, because we want to draw the family tree. This is something the first of its kind around the world. This right now we're doing by ourselves. We want to exactly to tell and which snow leopard made this excrement, and we're doing a lot of works by the Xinjiang. It's an NGO. So we're doing everything to build up the family tree here. So we're doing a very good project in wild animal conservation. And also Xinjiang, we know it's an NGO, but you're doing a great job. So let's say here we have 5,000 snow leopard. Right now it's listed as vulnerable threatened species. But let's say if next year we found 10,000 snow leopard, then maybe that's not the threatened or vulnerable threatened species anymore. So maybe we cannot get enough support or capitals for us to further carry out our campaign, whether that's true or not. Actually, we will not pay less condition no matter how many snow leopard we found. We'll continue our work for sure. Okay, so here you're saying the documentary. So that's our way into the mountain. And the gentleman here named Xi Rui is our captain. And for us, you can tell we're sleeping. And right now we are in the way to the mountain. Throughout the whole journey, what's your feeling or impression? So the environment you are living and the environment snow leopards are living, so more or less the same, or that's quite big different? Share with us about that. We're so excited because every time it's like we're travel the same route. That every time we think about, like right now, the way we are traveling is the same route wild animals are traveling. We're so excited. We know there are a lot of different ABACs and Mark rolled.
So we have some training first. And for the way we're passing through, we may also see some of the beasts or wild animals as well as some livestock. We're actually investigating this path. You can see everyday people share moments on WeChat and other social platforms. People want communication with the animals, and we also want to know how animals communicate with each other. So actually the path is a very important way for the animals to talk to each other. For example, some people mark on the territory, so the other animal will know, well, maybe here is the habitat for another animal. That's the pattern and the philosophy for how we set up the infrared cameras. And we have a very interesting experience this time. I always very active in collecting the camera because I want to know what we have shot. I saw one of the snow leopard is spraying the urine. It's actually the way how the snow leopards communicate with each other. So after the snow leopard spray the urine, he or she actually leave some messages here. Maybe the male leopard want to have a girlfriend. Sometimes when the animals are walking through the path, they will smell if there was some other excrement from the goats, ibex, or other animals. For me, I feel very exhausted about this campaign, this project, because we set up so many infrared cameras. We are setting up these cameras at a very high elevation and in the rocky areas, because for those areas, very few people will step on that. However, those are the habitats for the snow leopards. And for us, first of all, we have to find the cameras which has been set by others. We have to identify where are the cameras first. At the beginning, we felt very excited, just like a spring journey for us to finding out the treasure. However, after 20 or 30 minutes walk, you will feel exhausted throughout your body. And each time we will collect 10 to 20 cameras, and later we will set up the cameras again. On some of the mountain area, you can see it's very steep. It's very difficult to walk towards the mountain. From the footage, you can see I'm holding the iPad and trying to find where are our cameras. Actually, the iPad is donated by one of our volunteers. You know, sometimes the GPS doesn't function very well, so we may head a wrong way. Then we have to start all over again. At that time, we may use another method. For example, last time when we visited here, we will took some pictures, photos. For example, we saw a tree, and then we will see this is a good reference substance, and then we know where to head. From this footage, we cannot hear any sound. And all of our efforts can make contribution for the future research. For these areas, we are able to find out what kind of wild animals are living here. For example, if we can see any squirrels or mammoths or menus or other kinds of species are living here. Some people are asked if you enter into this wild district, what kind of clothes you are going to wear. For us, we should be very close to the nature. We should not wear very colorful clothes. We don't want the animals to find us. Sometimes when we take pictures, we cannot even see where are our members, because it seems like we are hiding into the forest. Because for a human being, not only we wear bright colored dresses, we also have a unique kind of smell, and the animals will identify us. Now in the footage, we actually found the first camera we are hiding, and now we are guessing what kind of animals we can find in this area. And finally, we see two red deers fighting with each other. We laid the camera in the middle of October. Actually, that is the mating season for the red deer. And through the camera, we found the two male red deers are fighting with each other. Some people read our newspaper a lot. They want to know more information about the volunteer. Now we have to make the introduction again to the viewers who just joined the live streaming. For the lady here, she's a local from Xinjiang. I have known her for 10 years. He always saying that I want to lose weight, but I didn't see any difference. But finally, she made something big. She read a lot of books and know more about the conservation of the wildlife. And also, she is the co-founder of the NGO, Wild Xinjiang. So we're very proud of her. So maybe you can also share some of the experience about your work in Tianshan Mountain. So yes, I will release a article. It's about the protection of the snow leopard, and I'm the one who is responsible to clean the excrement of the snow leopard. For Tianshan Mountain is the natural habitat for the snow leopard. So for Tianshan Mountain is a very sacred place for a lot of people. However, it is a unique place for local people. And that's why my article is focused on snow leopard's journey to the Tianshan Mountain. And in the article, I also mentioned that I'm the one who is responsible to clean the excrement for the snow leopard. Actually, I feel very proud and excited to clean the excrement for snow leopard. I want to protect them. And this is the project is all about. So maybe we should have more microphones so all of you can share your thoughts. So as a director and author, I feel very honored to participate in this project. I heard that yesterday we have some incidents when we're observing the wildlife. And yesterday when we go up on the mountain, we're impressed by the beautiful scenery because for the mountain is covered by snow. From the image and the footage, you can see these special trees in the mountain. It's a very beautiful place, and we set off immediately. At the beginning, there is a little bit windy. When we continue our journey to the top of the mountain, we see a large group of red deers. It's a group of female red deers. They're moving slowly. We can see that these red deers are pregnant. Pretty soon they're going to deliver babies. It's quite impressive when we see the group of the red deer. we feel very happy in our journey when we go up to the top, and we do see some of the hailstones coming to us, and the hailstones keep hitting us, and we're thinking we have to be quick. And later, when we're going down the mountain, we saw a very heavy snow, and it is not quite visible at that time. We are holding our sticks and the iPad for GPS, but still we are heading to a wrong way. In the middle of the journey, we found a cliff. Do you know how to do the parachuting? Well, I didn't bring it, so I cannot do it. It's very dangerous at that time. And we keep heading down the mountain, and we go back to the top and do it again. We're expecting that maybe later we can spot some of these snow leopard, even though we can feel they're very close to us, but unfortunately we didn't see them yesterday. The first time when we saw the snow leopard, the weather condition is terrible. At that time we have a group of 9 or 10 people. But after the first time I saw the snow leopard, I deeply fell in love with this white animal. At the beginning, I saw the tail of the snow leopard. It's a very unique experience. I could not forget it for my whole life. I want to ask another question. You start observing the snow leopard from 2014, and now it's 2018. So how many times you see leopards in person? Actually, only 2 times. Well, actually, she already seen a lot of snow leopards. For some people, they have been researching the snow leopard for over 10 years, but that person seldom seen snow leopard. Because we know the snow leopard is an elusive animal. Maybe they know where we are, but we are not able to see them. So every time when we'll set off for the journey, what are your expectations? Are you always expecting to see some of the snow leopard? Actually, for myself, I'm so eager to see one snow leopard. I took a plane, come to Xinjiang, and I had a drink at that time. And even in the drink, I was thinking, well, I finally see the snow leopard. Because snow leopard is a different kind of animal. It's not easy to find it and see it. I feel a little bit pity that not be able to see the snow leopard, but it's okay. I can come back another time. It's a regular task for me. The reason why we are here is to protect the snow leopard, is not just to see it. What do you think? Yes. I think everyone wants to see the snow leopard in person. But first of all, we have to protect them to have enough space for living.
So you have luck enough? We will say it. We will say for sure. Like Yaya, she already saw snow leopard for 2 times, like once per 2 years. Besides, we place the cameras, we check the numbers, the data. More importantly, one of our key jobs is to create an enabling environment to let people, human beings, and animals can coexist harmoniously. Lao Ji actually paid a visit to the herdsmen. Together, we did a lot of interview with them. Actually, I grew up in these areas. So I really would like to hear from you two. Is like after you're doing the interview, how exactly you feel. Talk about the conflict between human being, or let's say this, the coexistence between human being and wild animal. This is our ultimate goal because we want to make this harmonious coexistence. We see number of snow leopards increasing in the recent years and declining of prey. Some of the snow leopard right now came out of their comfort zone from their original habitats to the lower altitude of the mountain. So we did a visit to the herdsmen. So they shared with us, like, if you talk about 10 years ago, we rarely saw snow leopard, but right now they have more and more opportunities, especially within the recent 2 years. They frequently saw snow leopard because snow leopards frequently visit or attacked the livestock. So we paid a visit to the local families. We asked them how many people do you have and how many sheep do you have, and whether you recently had a conflict with wild animals, and how many wild animals, what kind of wild animals have you seen before, and also whether the people doing the illegal hunting. Especially, we found like there more and more severe situation happened between human being and snow leopard, because some of them exactly had the things happen. It's like 14 of their livestock, the sheep, were captured and killed by snow leopard. Sahati is a local herdsman, because this is a big impact to them, and he feels really sad because they lost 1/10 of their assets. They make a living from it, but they lost part of their ships. They said, I feel angry and we also feel afraid. So they sold all of the ship. They say, okay, if that happened, I'm done with it. I sell all of them. I would never have sheep at home. So I would also feel quite pity and sorry. And he looked very worried because a lot of people actually not do the job like grazing, and for the young generations, they move to the other cities. But the older generation saying, like, for my age, we're not to move anywhere else. This is my home. But we need to deal with the issues. Time flies, and also we enter into the new eras. A lot of things need to cope with the new trend. So we need to think about and face to these issues. We already seen the momentum, and especially we see more and more numbers of snow leopard. Slahedi is the one family we interviewed, and at the end of our interview, he saw a folk song by saying thank you to us and recording our live here. Hope you can help us. There are the Kazakh family, a lot of Kazakh ethnic groups living there, because the numbers of snow leopard increasing, the speed is faster than we expect. So we think about before maybe we can move the herdsmen to other places, but still feel a lot of challenges. So that's the issue we have to face and have to solve as the volunteers. Yeah, I believe you are doing a lot of job in this regard, right? For my feelings, actually, there's conflicts, but we're more focused on coexistence. I really like a lot of outdoor sports. I'm not just talking about it's a lot of fun, because I really love nature. So protecting the animals and also doing a lot of outdoor sports is the way to show my love to the nature. So when I talk to the local residents, there are a lot of sad stories because they lost a lot of assets due to snow leopard, because snow leopards ate up their sheep or their livestock. I asked them, do you think the snow leopard beautiful? Actually, they keep emphasis to us that they have never ever heard snow leopard. Give you the feeling it's like snow leopard is part of their life. Although the side story happened, hurt their hearts, hurt their feelings, but they not really choose extreme behavior, did not hurt the wild animals. Instead, they sold their assets. They sold the ships. It's the herdsman. It's their way of living. This is their philosophy. They know exactly how to coexist with the nature, with the wild animals. We really appreciate that. And we during the one interview, it's like the interviewers before his previous job is to protect forests. A forest keeper, so he knew a lot of knowledge, and the forest keepers may already retired, but he's continued doing a lot of job and taking a lot of the obligations to protect the forest, protect the environment, and also help us to monitoring if anyone is doing the illegal hunting, and also help us to check the carcass. So I also would like to call on the viewers from home and abroad to help us think about the solutions. And I also believe a lot of the administrations and also the forest bureaus right now is also thinking the solutions to how to better protect the wild animals and plants, as well as protect the interests and properties of herdsmen. And a question from the viewers say whether the cameras looks very expensive. So what about you lost them? They are expensive, but let me share with you the second day we went to the mountain. We're so excited because we captured the live pictures of the snow leopard. We always call snow leopards the kings of mountains. And we found they're in the very healthy conditions, and right now is traveled in a very wild territory and range. We know Tianshan right now is clean and upgraded their roads. So I say maybe we took back the cameras and to check the images. There are a lot of snow leopard. Previous years we recorded 4 different kinds of snow leopard. We also did the interviews, and actually we also heard the news like we have the new cubs born. And really like to say maybe this time we can find a new family member of snow leopard. So we placed 5 cameras there. So in a very high density. So the team leader, let's say we lost 1 camera. We only have the stones there because we use stones cover the cameras. So maybe someone to pick them and brought back home. So we're to there to really find out where the camera went. So we check each spot of the cameras we placed, because the cameras not only capture the picture of snow leopard, we also would like to capture the other animals And actually, we said it's the people, they know exactly how to turn off the cameras. We are so sad. Because the infrared cameras are the most important tool for us to record the footage, live footage. And that's all donated around China. And the sad thing is that we lost the whole data. The valuable part, the most valuable part, we lost them. That's the data. And the other two cameras we placed at the areas like a snow leopard really like to left the sand marks there. So we went to the other two spots. Luckily, we still got the two cameras there. So we took the cameras back to check the whole data. We checked one by one. And there was no marks of snow leopard. We saw the red deer. We saw the ibex. We saw the wild boar. We also see the manual. So we feel so upset. And we didn't know what happened. Xirui is our group leader. And we think like we not need enthusiasm, but also need to invest time and effort to do the volunteer jobs, right? I've always emphasized I'm a really lucky person. I really like to do a lot of work in nature. And I'm from Xinjiang, but from watching snow leopard, it gave me the new view and horizon of Xinjiang. I really like to do a lot of outdoor sports. I like to try a lot of different sports to contact and have a closer touch with the nature. And later on, I knew the leader of the volunteers, and he showed me another way to know the nature, so it's to watching wild animals. So the butterfly one time is a way, like the butterfly actually is coming to us while we're watching the birds, and that gave me a new feeling. It's like some girls like to buy bags, buy different kind of things, like to do traveling to other places. For me, it's like maybe I use that amount of money not buying back, but I buying the infrared cameras. Other people may travel to other places, and for me, my holidays, all of my traveling is in the mountains. For Xinjiang, it's really close to the mountains, and we have more than 400 species of birds in Xinjiang, and out of them, only 100 that specifically you can find in Xinjiang. This is so proud.
And also we spot like 36 snow leopard, and we feel very proud of Xinjiang about it. And people are still confused who is Xirui. And they also emphasize that happiness is the key for living our lives. Yes, I think they emphasize the good point. And I asked Yaya before why you want to enter into this kind of NGOs for animal conservation. Because you know it's a very tough process for doing the work. And Yaya told me that she loved doing it. It makes her very happy about it. So you know, people have different choices. So you need to find the thing you like the most. Even though you feel exhausted, but you always put on a smile on your face, because for herself, she will feel very happy about it. And some people are asking the question, can they see the snow leopard for the footage? So for Yaya, she saw 2 times of the snow leopard from the observation period from 2014 to 2018. But according to the records and the footages from our infrared cameras, there were thousands of times we can see the snow leopard. So when we share these images to other countries, they are so impressed that there were so many snow leopards in Xinjiang. And we also want to advocate the public with the joint effort with the local government and the forestry administration. We should make contribution in the conservation of the snow leopard. Actually, 2 days ago, we also work on some projects in better mapping and surveying the trace of the snow leopard. Maybe we show some footages. We can see that there were very hot discussion from the viewers. We record many different kinds of snow leopard, but we must have a way to identify who is which. For snow leopard, it looks very beautiful, but sometimes you may see they look similar with each other. They're all in great white fur and with different kinds of rosettes. But actually, we recorded 36 different snow leopard. Then we have a tactic to identify the differences of the snow leopard. We have some statistic analysis to better understand the activities of different snow leopard. So we want to share with you some of the concepts in differentiate different snow leopards. Actually, it's not a difficult task. It's relatively simple. And we also realize one phenomenon, that currently we see a longer tail of the snow leopard. Some people may want to ask, what is the function for the tail of the snow leopard? Actually, there were so many functions of the tail of the snow leopard. Sometimes we see the snow leopard open their mouth and hold their tail. This is because for the tails, it not only serves the function to make the snow leopard balanced, and also can make the snow leopard warm. Let's go back to the footage. Now we will see the snow leopard. Let's check if we have some images of the snow leopard. Here we go. We also see many viewers share their comments. Some netizens are saying that many volunteers are participating in the project to conserving the snow leopard. And he is asking whether we have some public recruitment for volunteers to protect the snow leopard. Actually, the 4 guests sitting here, we are the volunteer to protect the snow leopard. Some of us are part-time, some of us are full-time. Now we go back to the image. This is the leopard we shot 2 days ago when we collect the camera. At the beginning, I found that this is a new one we identify. And the Xirei told me that this one is called heizi. And there were many methods for us to identify and differentiate the snow leopard. The first one, we should look at the area of the tail, and also the side of the forelimbs of the snow leopard. Sometimes we differentiate the snow leopard by the patterns, the rosettes on their body. We can see that for all of the snow leopards, they are covered in gray-white fur with black dots and the rosettes. However, the rosettes are different for each individual snow leopard. And when the snow leopard is moving, the rosettes are changing. However, for some area, it stays the same. For example, the side area of the forelimbs. And for the snow leopard we just saw is called heizi. And we can see on the back of its body, the rosette is quite unique compared to the others. And for the tail, you can see the large size of the spots on the tail. It's a special feature for this specific snow leopard. And also we see the right limb of this leopard. It has 4 square of the rosettes. According to all of these characteristics, we can see this one is heizi. And some people are also asking for the NGOs, if they are not making profit, it's very difficult for them to sustain. Now we're talking about the profitability of the NGO, because if the NGO are not earning money, maybe it's very difficult for them to carry out their work. We can have Yaya to answer the question. For each animal or creature, we have a different ecological position. We have to make our stance very clear. For some of the people, they are working in the area that can make money. They can bring the profit back to us and support us. And for other entities in the market, for example, the legislative bodies, they can come up with laws. So each one of them have their own role and player. And of course, we have to think about the profitability of the NGO. First of all, we have to make our work well. Maybe we can get some what we call donation or money from fundraising or other measures. I used to be a member in NGO, but at that time we are not serving animals. So we are working during weekends. So the goal for my NGO is to help the children in the rural area. And I know some of the members of the NGO, they have passion, they have enthusiasm. I believe most of them have a full-time job. And with a little bit of donation or the fundraising from the public, and we can sustain the operation of the NGO. And some people are also saying that we have been doing this kind of observing projects for the snow leopard for many years. So what if this kind of project will affect the normal life of the snow leopard? So actually, we are not disturbing the normal activities of the snow leopard. We're just setting some cameras to observe their daily activities. And if we don't know what's happening in the mountain for the snow leopard, it's very difficult for us to take actions to protect them. And I believe many people don't know what is the current situation of the wild animals and plants in China, and if they don't know the current situation, there's no way we can protect them. But if we can observe the normal activities of those wild animals, and then we can make targeted efforts to make a better living environment for those wildlife. We have to find out the correct method to coexist with the wild animal. And I heard that in some of the regions there were special animal track separated from the highway. But in some other areas, they don't have this kind of animal track. That's because of insufficient observation of the wild animal. And we encourage and embrace the public engagement and participation in the process of observing the wild animal. And we want to show our information, our data to more people. So I want the public to have a better understanding first of the current situation of the wild animal, and then we can think about what kind of actions we can take accordingly. We are very happy that there were so many NGOs participating in the conservation of the wild animal and plants. With their participation, the awareness of animal conservation can be raised in the public. If the government omits some of the key links, maybe the NGOs can play their roles. But still, we are still facing the challenge in that maybe we don't have enough resources to do it. Xinjiang has vast land and smaller population compared to other areas. And for example, for a 2-hour drive in some cities, maybe with 2-hour drive you already drive to another city, but in Xinjiang you are still in the same area, maybe in the same district. So people are concerning that whether we have enough human resources to do our job, but at least we can see the public has drawn attention to this specific issue. We understand that people hold different opinions of doing this. Because of these public opinions, then more and more people will pay attention to it. So we know many people are paying attention in the conserving of the snow leopard as well as the ecosystem. Some people want to participate in this process, but they don't know how to participate. That's why I think the Wild Xinjiang project is excellent. We have many volunteers. They have their own talents, specialties. If they have money, they can invest the money, and if they have other skills, they can make full advantage of their skills in the project. So today we are just inviting you to share your opinions. And we just want these voices to be heard by the public. And in the future, if they're willing to participate, we will welcome.
And that brings to the end of the program. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you can pay more attention to the wild animal conservation. Thank you.